80-20-365, a time management system to help you achieve your goals and dreams in 2021 and beyond. We all have the same amount of time. Our results depend where we invest it. This is Living Your Life Well Planned, the 80-20-365 success system with its inventor, my partner, my friend, Adam Vincent Gilmer. I'm Gene Velitis, your host. And welcome to episode 52. And on behalf of Adam, our technical people, Charlie Rittenberg, Doug Thompson, Derek Horn, I'd like to welcome you to episode 52. We have now completed 1 year's worth of free training. This is it, our first anniversary, 52 episodes. So Adam, congratulations. Congratulations to our technical team in Toronto, Canada, and congratulations to Derek down in Southern California. We started off with a very specific mission, and our mission is to help change lives. As Adam does in his business, and I help Adam do with these video podcasts and podcasts. So, Adam, congratulations! 1 year worth of free training.
Wow, I didn't realize it was 1 year having so much fun doing all this, and it's really funny because I was with Sherry and Jeff the other evening, and we were talking about like the last fly-in that we did to the company, right? We just did, and then guess what? Gets crazy COVID thing hit in. You know, businesses were spent in different directions, masking, vaccinations, gloves, all the other things that you got to wear now, hand sanitizer. And guess what? We just got the information that our company has now opened back up. We now can qualify people to come in and take a look at what it is we're doing and show people, what it's like to, over the last 11 years, in the company that we're in, we've done over $8 billion worth of cumulative sales. We've broken records around the world. We're the fastest company ever to $1 billion in sales, on par with Apple, Facebook, and various others. And hey, you reminded me a year ago, here's where we are. Who would have known that we had to go through this crazy time? But thank goodness we can look back and reflect and move forward and say, okay, now it's time to, open up and you really start having people change their lives again financially. So awesome. Thanks for the surprise.
That's really great. As always, even after 1 year, I always stress the importance of going to the website, 80-20-365.com, get your daily planner. And while you're there, check out Cherry Tree's The Bank System. It's the language of sales. You'll crack the code, and when you crack the code, you'll have the potential to really increase your sales as much as 300%. Now, we're just not pulling some figure out of the air here. It's documented, and Cherry has had incredible success with this system. You need to really get back to about episode 45 and check out the system if you haven't already, and go to Adam's website and take your assessment as well. We got a great roundtable again with us today. Kim Galke, Sherry Sharman, and Jeffrey Gall are joining us. We're going to start off with Adam as well. Over the last couple of episodes here, we talked about just starting. What do you do in your first 24 hours? We talked about prospecting versus puking direct sales on people. Then we got into about the first 6 months of the business, and we started talking about gaining momentum. Now, some people go through a little problem. Some people don't if they're lucky, but we do want to, address little things that come along the way. I always relate this to sailing. A good sailor will correct the course. If you're on a jet and you're flying from LA to Dubai, where we have a lot of listeners, they're always going to correct that course. If you're off just this much, you're not going to land at the airport where you're supposed to be. So here on week number 52, our 1 year anniversary, what we're going to talk about is, what does it take to build a team, and what happens when people in my team aren't working as hard as me? It does kind of happen occasionally. You want to correct that course. So let's correct it for you today. Let's start off with Adam on that. Adam, what's it take to build a really, really good team? And if you discover that even some of your leaders aren't working as hard as you, what do you do to get things back on course and, continue on with that momentum building?
Man, Gene, I remember I went over to Russia for the first time, and also opened up the Middle East and India, and the business wasn't open up over there. And still, that we had $0 in sales, nothing was happening. And I jumped off the plane after appropriate visas and all the stuff you got to do. You landed, and I go to my first meeting. It was an evening meeting where the leader over there had assembled some people around a dinner table. It was a long dinner table, not around, but it was a long dinner table. And I don't speak Russian, right? So you have to work with a translator, this to the other. And I take out my planner, okay, and I put it down and I turn in the planner, to the appropriate day and time. This or the other. And the first thing that one of the leaders asked me was like, "Hey, what's that?" And I said, this is my plan. This is my plan to make it happen. And it keeps me organized. It's my journal. It tells me the people I met. And I remember when I go into these meetings, I'm looking for the A-type personalities, right? The Reds, really, because the Reds kind of lead by action and doing stuff and getting into motion and kind of lead other people. And that's what it was for me. So I sat down with a plan, and then ever since then, and the same thing happened in the Middle East. I say Middle East, all of the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and other places, Lebanon, what have you over there. And then same thing happened in India. Sat down with the right minds that understood, and then people were asking me, "How do I get the plan? How do I get the planner?" And I was like, "Listen, when you get this planner isn't Adam Vincent Gilmer's. This planner is like when you go out and you buy your phone, okay? Or you buy your Mercedes Benz, or you buy your Bentley, or you buy your whatever car you're driving. When you make the purchase of this, it becomes yours. Title transfers to you, okay? In other words, when you buy the phone, it becomes your iPhone. When you buy the car, it becomes your car. When you get the planner, it becomes your planner. It's your job to work it. And when people look at what my work ethic is like and what have you, even though, I live life in balance, being brain, body, time, people, and money, spirituality, taking in knowledge, looking after my body, networking with people, educating, managing my time. And the last piece is making money. And what happens is when all these pieces of the puzzle come into life, you create this amazing balance. And people go, "How do you keep it all balanced?" It's not easy. I'll tell you, wife, 2 kids, different ages, yelling, screaming, tiredness, all those things that happen, right? But at the end of the day, you're living on, you're putting your life forward, living in the present right now, expecting the best things to come out of it. And when you land in a country with a plan, they see you organized, they follow you on Facebook, Instagram, this and the other. They get to know the personality that I have. And what I've learned to do, Gene, is just be an example, be the change that I'd like to see in my life. And that's pushed into many, many different teams. I'll say pushed into many, it's been adopted by many, many different teams. And they're already, I'm not making their hearts and lungs pump and pump the blood around and breathe in the air. That's a gift from the creator. I look at it like we're on purpose. And when you're on purpose and you're serious about it, nothing can sway you. You might get serious and have a serious conversation with a few people, and make people become more attentive to what's super, super important. But you stay focused and genuinely just in a better place. And that's what's allowed me to have massive, massive success. And not just in my direct sales businesses, and the other businesses too. So the good part is that anybody can do this. The challenge is that, and the invitation goes out to, the few that will. This is for people that are looking to build a solid business. These are that we're going to expect some failures. It's part of the flipping the coin. Success and failure is like part of the same scenario. You just got to keep moving forward, keep learning, and develop a work ethic that says your life is worth it. The challenges that you're going through are just little mirror stepping stones to get you to the other side. And then, people look at you and think your grass is greener, and it is greener because you're looking after your grass. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if they want their grass green, they just start looking after themselves. Anyway, so that's the difference in my work ethic. I have a purpose statement that my life is built on, that I've worked on years and years and years, and changing words and phrases and what have you to have it become concise. And then I take that, I do 60-month goals, broken down into 3-month quarters: January, February, March, April, May, June, so on and so forth. And I stay focused and stay focused and stay focused, almost to a detriment, but it's not. It's a blessing, and that's what this is about.
Yeah. I just love that line. That yeah, I just picked up on something. The few that will, the few that will. I just love that. Well, we've got a great panel, as I mentioned off the top of this, our 52nd episode, 1 year anniversary of training and changing lives around the world. I'm going to go to Sherry Sharman to start off our roundtable panel on this episode. Sherry, we've in our previous episodes we talked about some really great things. What do I do in my first day? And doing it the right way. You gave us some really great examples and some very powerful hints as to how you become successful in the business. I'm looking at a scenario now. Maybe it's 6 months, a year, or something like that. I'm checking the computer. I'm looking at my downline, and all of a sudden, I'm kind of seeing some people who were builders, but they're not working as hard as me. I'm a little concerned. What do I do? I mean, I don't want to offend these people. They're part of I mean, I'm not paying them. They're part of a volunteer workforce. So I want to be able to communicate effectively with them. I don't want to upset them, but I want them to get going. And it's a very delicate balancing act when somebody isn't working as hard as you want. So how do you take care of that situation?
Gene, that's a great question because, there's a thing in this business called life. Everyone has a life going on, and not everybody has time to put the same effort as you do. And people have, like I said, it's the highs, the lows, the roller coaster ride of this business. And some people love roller coasters. They can't wait to get on a roller coaster and they scream and yell and enjoy it. Others are petrified, and that's why in the very beginning, when you have a new person, I always teach people to do what's called form. Find the formula. Take the first 4 letters of that word form, which is know about your people, know about your team, and your leaders. Because if you know about their family, which is the F of form, their occupation, which is the O, recreation, what do they like to do for fun? And that's the R. And then the last one, which is the M, is so important, is their motivation. Because if you have that information on that person, you can, like right now, I have a really, one of my top girls, she's going through a crisis right now. She's losing her brother. And, and she still got on a conference call yesterday, and our Zoom call. And, and it's like, but throughout the day, I've just been sending her messages. Adam Vincent Gilmer actually called her personally and spoke to her for a half hour, just talking about life. Jeffrey Gall, who's also on this call, is reached out to her. And then Kim, who has not even met this person yet, is left her a message. So it's like when you have this community of people that care more than the money, they really care about people, you'll get through those low times. It's like every time, you ride that roller coaster up and then you come down, but it's going to go back up. Just know it will go back up. And you caring more about money than money with that person, their well-being, they'll know that and they'll stay connected with you. And like I said, it's just called life, Gene. Everyone has it.
Wow. That's, you know what? That's one of the best answers I've ever heard in all the time I've been in this industry. It's being of service to other people and caring more about them than yourself. Wow, powerful. Hey, let's go over to Jeffrey Gall. Now, Jeffrey, in case you've missed it in previous episodes, by education, he is an engineer and he's a rocket scientist. He's a rocket scientist engineer. Jeffrey, I know you're in Southern California, but you're from my home country, Canada. And in many universities in Canada, when you graduate from engineering school, they give you a ring to wear, and that ring is made from a bridge in Quebec that collapsed. And it's a constant reminder that you have to pay attention to every single last detail when you're building something as an engineer, because you don't want to, have your bridge be the next building block for engineers in the future, reminding them that things can collapse if they're not built correctly. So when you're building an organization and you look at your downline and you see part of my analogy, part of that bridge is collapsing, what do you do with your organization to get it back on track and your method of what Sherry just shared. I'm fascinated to hear what an engineer would say to that, because I know as an engineer, you guys have a whole different way of reacting to things and responding to things than those of us who are left-brained like myself, a creative person.
Sure. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our listeners. And first, we need to remember this is a volunteer army or volunteer team. They don't work for you. So you can't tell people what to do. You can inspire people and you could support people. So it's really having, and then there's another thing of SW, which is some will, some won't, so what next? And if you go into it realizing that, and when you're working with, when we talked about engineering, there are repetitive systems put in, there's backups put in, different levels of support put in to make sure you don't have those problems, because as Sherry said, life happens and things just happen that we sometimes can't predict everything that's coming. So the idea is when building your team, like we've talked earlier, through communication, through asking great questions, through listening, you're going to find out what each of your leaders are looking for and what they desire from this business. From that collective, that's the support you need to get what you desire or what you're looking for. So it all ties together. It is a mathematical equation. And the best way to work, we all talk about being leaders. Being a leader is not given to you, it's earned. People choose to follow you, not because they have to, it's because they're inspired to. And so when Sherry talked about individuals going through crisis, because life happens, okay? Life happens to everybody. And to be there, to be supportive, to be there as a safety net, or just let them know you care and you're there. And when they're ready to step back into leadership or move forward or continue building, then you're going to be there for them and you're going to help them. So that way you're not losing people, but you're right. This is a very up and down, almost like a sine wave, where getting people who are working and not working, which is why you always want to continue building your team and leading by example. One of the biggest challenges in our industry is people go 6 months really hard. They get some really great activity going and people are duplicating. And then there's this little switch that goes off in their head. And they say, hey, I'm a leader now. I'm going to go to leadership role. So I'm going to be supporting the team, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm building anymore. Well, as we all know, you lead by example. You stop building. It's an interesting concept. Your whole team stops building. They stop showing up because you stop showing up. So what I teach people is, as you move on, in our last podcast just discussed this, you're shifting gears, you're moving to the next higher gear, pushing on the gas, the accelerator. You continue to do more, that consistency is there, and the ones that follow that you're leading will do the same. But sometimes happen with life. And so that's why you always have to make sure you have more than you think you need building so you can ultimately achieve your goal. So that would be my response for you today.
Here's my takeaway from your answer, Jeffrey, and I think it's really, really important. When we think of duplication, I think people think of, duplication, that's really, really good, but you hit on a key point. People will also duplicate what's bad, and that's not what we want to have happen. Let's move over to Kim. Kim, let's talk about this aspect of building a business. Sherry and Jeffrey had some really, really great insight into this. I'd like to get your opinion on, when some of the people in your team, some of the people who you believe are leaders, they're falling off a little bit. What's your formula to get people back on track?
Well, first of all, I totally understand what Sherry's saying about being friends with the people, having a good relationship with them. So my leaders that I have fallen off, I stay in contact with. I get involved. I try not to get into management mode, but I get involved with getting them inspired to get back into the business by, maybe showing something that I've achieved or something someone else on the team has achieved. Again, with recognition of other people, and it's not easy, you know, it's an up and down scenario. We have to get up at sometimes middle of the night to speak with leaders because they're in different time zones. But we do it, right? And sorry, I just kind of lost my train of thought there, but it's kind of a hard act to follow with these two because you guys said everything. But I just think that sincerity, I guess my main thing would be that to stay sincere with your leaders, to stay to help keep them focused, be sincere, don't be just like they said after the money or after, you know. I have a big team in India, and to be honest, I am thrived for their success, and they realize that, and they work 10 times harder, but because I'll get up in the middle of the night, you know, for them, or because I know what's going on with their family, or I know what's going on in their life. So I think when you do that, it's just easy to keep people motivated. You won't have those downfalls. And you know, I'm not saying you will never have downfalls, because like they said, everybody has life, it happens, but you're there whenever they're ready to come back, and they know that, and they know they can. I've had people fall off the team and then come back, you know. So you know, being sincere and having a sincere heart and leading with your heart, I think is the direction that every leader should take, and that will maybe not happen as much.
Yeah. Yeah. My takeaway from yours is you're willing to do what it takes if your team is willing to do what it takes. And you know what? Having worked in morning radio for, you know, an entire career, I know what it's like to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Most people don't. So if you're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're doing what it takes for your team. And you know what? Success leaves clues. So I love your answer, Kim. That's just great. Adam, let's wrap it up and land this jet right now. We're talking about when people fall off. I know one thing that Adam does, because listen, Adam and I have hung out for a long, long time. This guy is always prospecting and always bringing people into his business. I don't think you've ever been in management mode. So let's give us a nice summary of episode 52 here.
You know, I was watching, I listened to a bunch of other different YouTube. I follow a bunch of other different people on YouTube. You know, one of them was Elon Musk, right? You know, he's a fellow South African, become massively successful. And he was asked a question about, you know, he was trying to land this rocket. Well, he wasn't trying to land the rocket, but his engineers and his team, what have you. And, you know, out in the middle of the ocean on a floating, you know, buoy dock thing, and, you know, landing, and the thing explodes. And, you know, he looks at that and he goes, well, that wasn't going to stop him, the team, even though, and it was publicly broadcast on national television. The failure. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, holy crap. Like, what if that happened to, you know, one of us in our sales organizations or teams, what have you, like, this person quit, or a team decided to leave, or there was cross recruiting, or just something, you know, I mean, all these things that happen in our business. And you know what, here's what I realized. Look, you know, if you're in Africa and you go down to the watering hole, you know, the springbucks have to come down, the lions come down, everything comes down. You got to watch out for the crocodiles, because they're gonna be there sometimes. That's just the way it is. Life happens to everybody. Sherry talked about it. Jeff talked about it. Kim talked about it. But here's the thing. The emotion of those things, you have to manage them, right? You have to learn how to manage your disappointments in life, because we all know how to celebrate the successes, right? You know, the celebrating the successes is almost the easy part, even though there's a bunch of work that went into it. The hard part is managing the disappointments. And guess what? You learn more from the disappointments than what you do from the successes. So, you know, I encourage people to have much more disappointments. You learn not what to do. It's better to make 1,000 different mistakes and to make the same mistake 1,000 times. Okay. So learn from the things that don't work out perfectly all the time. But at the end of the day, you're in control of the outcome, meaning that you control the emotion. The choice is up to you and how you want to take it. It could be, you know, significantly bad and put you into, you know, not thinking correctly, or you just get back on track and start thinking positively and start putting out the right kinds of energies. And the right kinds of energies is when I bring people bring people together. So, whether you're building your business and you're in the first stages of it or in the stages that we're in right now. The other day, believe it or not, my wife and I went to a weekend away at Napa. Thank goodness we got a weekend away. Grandma could look after the kids. So yeah, we had adult time drinking and what have you with another great couple. And it turns out that couple is also very, very successful, not in our industry, but successful. And the wife of the couple was like, hey, listen, you know what? My husband's successful. I'm kind of bored. I'm playing golf. I said, what do you guys do? I said, well, listen, why don't you come and meet and, get to meet with Sherry and get to meet Jeff and hang out. And long story short, this new person decided, hey, listen, I came down to our first initial meeting, got to meet some of the team. No, it was the whole process of recruiting again. And I said, man, she came down and now she's joining the business. So the trick is don't give up on your goals and dreams, but have a purpose statement that's so dear and near to you. I've rewritten mine. I'm not joking. It's close to, probably 800 times. I've rewritten different things, changed the grammar, what have you, to perfect it. Okay. When I say perfect it, to really make it pop and mean something to me when I read it before I go to bed at night. And then of course, first thing in the morning, it's like, well, and then during the midday meal, I'm like, okay, good, let me go with my purpose statement, which goes off on my iPhone, by the way. It shows up and I could rehearse it. And I know it by word, by memory. It keeps me focused, keeps me grounded, also keeps me humble, and it gets me also very, very serious when somebody tries to pull our team off track or doesn't do the right thing. It's like, slap. Let's, it brings you back to reality. And I think that's important. But just remember, bad things are going to happen to all of us. Okay. And the emotional side is we need to be able to control those emotions. Lastly, and hand this back to you. Look, we don't do these pieces to make money necessarily. This is a piece of the slice of our brain, a psychology that we've learned over the years. You're listening to people. I remember traveling through India with Kim many times, catching planes, doing stuff, getting people promoted. I mean, it's just like it's the same thing with Sherry, going all over the world, and Jeff, arriving on planes, going into meetings, and people wonder why you're willing to go and travel 400,000 plus miles a year in order to go build a business. Well, look, at the end of the day, I have a set of responsibilities, and I've developed a certain set of skills over the years that I've become very, very excellent at. And I surround myself with amazing, like-minded, visionary people that are willing to move themselves and be responsible. Like when we started this show, even though we're doing this a year now, Gene, we've helped change and shape people's lives. Now, listen, if we affect one person, okay, we have done our job. Now, it just happens to be we're affecting thousands and thousands. But the point is that if you're a new listener, go back through the episodes. You can follow along on the podcast, and Gene tells you to binge listen. You can go through that, look at that definition. But at the end of the day, this is done out of the love of our hearts, because we know that if you do some of the techniques that we're talking about, you will end up in the same place that we are. Looking back, and it's a grateful thing from my heart, my family, to all of you. So, Gene, thank you very much. The team, thank you very much, and our panelists, thank you so much for your time and energy today. Much appreciated.
Yeah, we had a really powerful episode. I want to thank Kim Galke, Sherry Sharman, and Jeffrey Gall. On a personal note here, on behalf of Adam and myself, we'd like to thank Derek Horn in Southern California, Doug Thompson and Charlie Rittenberg in Toronto, our technical team that put all this together. And on behalf of Adam Vincent Gilmer, I'm Gene Velitis. Join us for episode 53 as we start year number 2 of Living Your Life Well Planned. 80-20-365. A time management system to help you achieve your goals and dreams in 2021 and beyond. We all have the same amount of time. Our results depend where we invest it. 80-20-365. Living your life well planned.